So a year ago, I made a video where we went over my 19 mistakes and takeaways from my 19 years. Now, a year later, I have turned 21, and since 2021 wasn't my best time, recap here, I have traveled within it and taken time to look back on my past. All the way from me as a child, to teenage, to adulthood. From reflecting, I have compiled a list of 20 things my 20s taught me.
And that brings us to today. Another day, another video. Now today's video, as you saw, is a continuation of my last year video where I did 19 things I learned, and it was very eye-opening, but we did a little more reflecting this year. And with that, let's get started. Now, the first one is from my favorite, from my OG, from my mi madre. It is compassion. Now, I've been very lucky. I grew up in a very loving household, and with that, I learned the importance of compassion. And it can show in everyday life, whether you are just trying to lighten up someone's day or just trying to lighten up your own day. Sometimes showing compassion can be the make or break. And then there's the second one. I've learned this from my sibling, and it's honesty. Now, that's not to say that they're an honest person, but if anything, the people who care about you most will want you to be honest with yourself and with them, because if you're not honest with them at that point, what are you doing? It's just, you're building up a wall, and for the most important relationships you have in your life, you don't want to have a wall between you and that other person. Now, the next one is something that I kind of had to learn the hard way, but blood isn't always thicker than water. Now, I have gained most of the people that I'm very close to by building a relationship with them, and sometimes that meant that they weren't always my family. Some of my closest relatives to speak are people that I'm not related to by blood, with the exception of some, because, you know, ride or dies. But growing up in a place where there was many people and we were interacting with a lot of communities, I grew up with a diverse group of people, and that meant that I learned to love people without seeing their relation to me beforehand. So I just saw them as them, and they saw me as me, and from there, we grew up. So I live to this by today, and I always say this to my family members, which can sometimes annoy them, but blood isn't always thicker than water. Now, and the next one is probably one that I learned after moving here, and that is being you, even if that means is weird, is less weird than you not being you and trying to fit in. I've always been a person who's a little weird, quirky, and I want to say fun, but I'd have to take the word from people around me. But I never wanted to stand out, and I always thought that standing out meant that it would single me out. What I didn't realize is standing out meant that if I was happy being who I am, then I didn't really notice it. And that was a big one, especially for adolescents and me to learn. Now, with being weird, I also had to learn another thing, and that was live for today, because tomorrow's not in our hands. As much as we want to build a life for ourselves and build a future for ourselves where we look back and we're happy to see it, living now is just as important. Living in the today is just as important, because as much as you can try to plan your future, as much as you can try to predict what's gonna come, at the end of it, it's not really in our hands. So if you've had a good day today, or you've tried to make today better than it was yesterday, I think you've done enough. Now, come on, boy. Now, I got really lucky with my friends' families, and another thing I got lucky with is my teacher. In high school, I learned from one of my favorite teachers that you need to make a path that serves you, because only then will you be able to serve others. Cool, ain't it? And he didn't even tell me this. I came about this on my own. But I only came about this because of him. He was someone that was always kind, compassionate, helpful, and just genuine. And through that, I was able to come on this. Now, the next one is taught by my favorite one of my favorite people in existence. And she taught me that you don't need to be perfect to be loved. And you don't need to be perfect to belong. Now, this one was quite a woozy, because honestly, I thought that all my life I had to reach people's expectations, and only then would I be worth something. But that's where I messed it all up. In trying to achieve people's expectations, I never got to be me. And because I never got to be me, the people around me never saw what I was truly capable of, or my true self. And not only were they missing out on it, I was too. I missed out on so many times, so many opportunities to say things I might have wanted to, but I didn't, because I cared too much. But the moment I stopped caring, and the moment that I realized perfection is an idealism that I don't want to participate in because it's exhausting, I became so much happier. And with that, we had to. And from that, I started this channel. And it was fun, it was great. And then I got into a slump. Now, like anyone else, I have my hobbies, and mine just tended to be something that worked out in my favor, working out. I love the gym, I love how it makes me feel, and it's taken me a lot to work through while working out. Working through my feelings whilst working out. Now, this next one is from a random person. I don't know them, they don't know me, and it was something that inspired I want to say, new venture I'm gonna make. And this one's gonna be all of me. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be hard, and I guess I have her to thank. Now, this next one is from a singer, and their name is Lundrell. I have been obsessed with them in the last year. I love all their music, but what they taught me was something that relates to something I said before, and that was, you don't have to be perfect for everything to be all right. You don't need to be in this perfect place. You don't need to be on this perfect path. You don't need to be at the exact moment that you said you were going to be for things to be all right, to be okay. And honestly, that allowed me to take a breather, look around, and enjoy the moment, because a lot of times, let me tell you, I can get caught up in things. If I've planned it, if I have ventures I need to work on, if I have things I want to do, I sometimes forget to just sit down and breathe. And this person definitely taught me that I needed to breathe. Now, I like to be a planner, as you can probably already tell at this point, but with needing to slow down and just breathe and just be aware of where I am, and working a job where I'm being paid essentially minimum wage, I talked to someone and they told me something that soon became invaluable. And that's something that you've probably already heard. You're here for a reason, but you can only figure out why. Now, back then, I brushed it off, and now in my 20th year, while I was thinking about it, I realized what it meant. You are here to do what you need to do, but the thing is, only you will know why and what it is. You can't look for it in other people. You can't look for it in probably this video. This can only give you pointers for all, at most, at the very best. But you only know why you are here, why you're here now, why you're here in this moment. and you'll only know what you need to do for you and for anyone else that you care about or love. Or even you don't, just for someone else. Now my next one, this one was a little more of an internal struggle. And essentially, it was your girl's fears. Now, we're always taught that we need to be scared of our fears. But no one taught us that it was okay to feel what we're feeling. Sometimes there's a reason you're feeling scared. And sometimes that's what makes it or breaks it. In my case, a lot of my times, my fear is my anxiety, so it's just nerves getting to me. But there was one time where me being scared was the reason why I was able to learn a lot. If I wasn't scared in that moment, if I didn't sit down and evaluate why I was feeling what I was feeling, because I thought it was anxiety, I wouldn't have come to the realization that I was scared because I was scared of what I would become, or I was scared of what was going to result if I just did what I want. And that is why. Thing that led me to discover something my family doctor used to essentially live out, and that was to do what makes you happy. Because only when you are happy will the people around you also see your happiness and like it. Because I know when I'm happy, the people around me are happy as well. And sometimes you need to do things that aren't in the norm, or they might not be the most socially acceptable, but if it makes you happy, do it. Or at least give it a shot. There's no harm in trying something. Only once you try will you know the outcome. Until then, you can't really predict much. Now, I have been doing what I love for the last 6 years, but at some point you stop seeing progress and you don't feel that great. Once I was working out, a girl complimented my leg press in which I was PRing 7 plates on each side, and that's when it came to me. Maybe you don't see your progress, but you're definitely not the same person who started something, in my case, 7 years ago when I first walked into the gym to work out, and now. And that's pretty cool. Even if you don't see the progress day by day or week by week or even month by month, you aren't that same person who started the journey. So you had to have come from somewhere. You've had to have made progress. Thus. And this one was a good one. I started this channel a year ago and 6 months or a couple months. And the reason I started this channel was because of YouTubers like amel.bahobeshi or my family or the people I grew up on. Those are the more recent ones. And I always saw a life where, yes, it did show a more luxurious side, but it showed a more real side of themselves. It showed times where they weren't the happiest or times where they were working on themselves. And seeing that inspired me to do it myself, to try this. Something I've come to enjoy very much, from recording, editing, and to even putting it up on the internet, which I find the hardest part to be. Putting stuff on the internet is rough. But once you get over the fear of it and you truly just do it for you, man, can it make a difference. Now, I just realized I keep saying that a lot. But, just as I said, I grew up in a loving household. I grew up in Toronto, and at least back then, I don't know about now because I don't live there, it was full of love, and it was a place that was honestly a happy place. And with that, I was a little girl, and at the carnival, which happens every year, I was in awe at this girl passing by us, and she had a red headpiece. It was part of her costume, and she looked majestic. In my eyes, she probably looked like a princess. What I didn't expect was for her to actually give me her headpiece. For months after that, I would dance around the living room wearing it. And now when I think of it, and when I see those pictures, and I remember those times, happiness can be shared. And once you share it, the person receiving it and the person giving it can become so much more happier just by sharing a little happiness. So smile a little, be nice, do something you've never done, and see the results. I can't say that I was always happy, but I had a teddy bear. I know, cringe, but it was my childhood teddy bear. Named her Teddy. Real creative. But she did show me something that I value to this day. And that was that you are okay even when everything's not. Now, the circumstances around you don't always have to be ideal and perfect, but even when they're not, and you might be going through the worst of the worst, you are okay at the end of the day. You might not be happy. You might not be feeling that the situation is right or it feels unfair, but you're okay. You're still here. You're still kicking. And if it bothers you that much and you can do something about it, do it. And like I was saying, I had a lot of family in Toronto, and another one that one taught me was that smile so much. Let me say this word by word. Okay, I'm gonna read this one word by word because I do not want to mess it up, but it says, smile and laugh like no other, and create it so you can be surrounded by it more. I love this one. This one is probably something I've lived by for this year, and with it being my golden year, because your homegirl turned 21 on her, well, June 21st, so on her 21st. But it made me realize that that is so much more important. Once you are happy, once you are smiling, once you are just filled with joy and gratitude, that's what you're going to be surrounded by. And that will just make for much more happiness and joy. We love a positive environment. Okay, and with my upbringing in Toronto, I know I keep talking about Toronto, but it's just such a big part of me that I don't think it's going anywhere. So the next one is, happiness can be found around you, but only it takes you to open your eyes and see it for all it's worth. Now, I was a very Debbie Downer in this last couple years, but I needed to be a Debbie Downer because it made me realize what I had back then and what I could have now if I just allowed it to come to me. I was surrounded by people who loved me, cared for me, but I never allowed it to be something that penetrated my heartstrings, essentially, because I felt that the moment that you're vulnerable, you lose. And that was a big mistake, because what it should have been is the moment you are vulnerable is the moment that you see the most authentic selves, that you see people in ways you would have never been able to see it with all just allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Okay, now this one is from my elementary for the next two, and the first one is from my kindergarten teachers. They were pretty much like our after care program supervisors. They're the ones who managed a lot of things. So I don't want to mess this one up, so I'm going to read it word by word on my phone because I don't know why I just did that, but let's get to it. It says, you make your life, so choose what serves you best and allow what you want and everything else to be on the back burner. This one's more about prioritizing things. I've come to learn that my mind can get very jumbled and I forget the purpose of doing what I'm doing. even with school, I get so sucked into academic success, for example, and I forget that my worth is not in numbers. I forget that I am more than just that. Or I start a venture and I get really hyper fixated on it, and I forget that there's more around me and there's more I need to do. Which sometimes is not the best feeling, but it's feelings that need to be said. And then there was my grade 4 and 5 classmates. They were essentially my best friends, but they showed me that you don't always need a reason to be happy. You can just live in the moment. You don't always have to have this facade of trying to force happiness, because as much as I want to preach being happy and doing what makes you happy, you can't always be happy. You can try to be, which is great, but you don't want to always force it. If you force something too much, then it just doesn't feel real anymore. And the last one is myself. Now, myself 3 years ago. You're probably wondering, why 3 years ago? Because little Amel, adolescent Amel, wasn't happy, and I knew that, but I didn't do anything about it. And that's what it taught me. If I know how I'm feeling, if I know what my emotions are, and I'm able to process it, why don't I do anything about it? The girl 3 years ago showed me that if you want to be stuck where you're at, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to progress, then you need to make a change or do something about it. Because only once you do something about it will a change be made. And that is it. That was pretty much 20 to 21 things I've learned. I'm not going to put captions, or I'm not going to number which are which. I might. But I just wanted this video to be fun, to be me. And this is a new era of my channel. I know, a year in and I'm already changing things up, but let's get used to it. There's going to be a lot of changes to be made. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys, we are getting there. Yeah, I'm very excited for what's to come. I have a lot of ideas of what I want to do with this channel and how I want to develop it and how I want to become more closer to you guys, more authentic, more me. And that was Monday Mel's. Every Monday, you'll definitely be seeing me post a video. It'll be like this. It'll be a fun one, a hair one, because my hair needs it. Yes, I put a bandana on because my hair is looking rough underneath. But it's going to be anything of that sort, from lifestyle to talking to hair to my gym journey, and then progressing to also Thursdays where I will try to post another video, but I'm not going to be hard on myself. That's not going to become my actual schedule. So if you want to stay tuned and give me ideas on what you want to see down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Kisses and hugs. Oh, and watch this if you want to. There's a little like closure video that I made where I just do something that I really like to do. And I'll see y'all next time. Kisses and hugs.
When I turned 21, I thought it would all change, that all these feelings would be received, or the weight of my future would recede. But then the time came, and what befell me was something that made me feel framed. I felt the same mundane, and nothing new of me became. I was ashamed. I had it all riding on this one day to change my course. Instead I was fooled, presumed to reality that I didn't even cause. So I thought, what made me think this way? And then it came. I thought this way because it made me feel okay. Appealing to my supposed ideals, the reality blurred, and I burned. My demise became me, and I lied to myself, to preserve the last of what I thought was me. but I needed to open my eyes that urged another path when I make and pave to create a better and hopefully happier me. So I guess I have this year to thank for making me see the reality of this day that played every year.
Yeah, hip hop and jazz. Yeah, hip hop and jazz.